You scared?
Not really. I'm ready to fight if I have to. I can fight. I'm not afraid. Yeah, I'm terrified. But I'll be okay.
I'm scared. I'm not scared. Not even now. Because you're here.
Hope, are you scared?
I think Hope's entire character arc can be summarized in how he chooses to answer this question throughout the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy. Hey everyone, Wandering Bard here, and today I'm going to be doing my deep dive character analysis of Hope Estheim. Coming off the SAS video where I got to analyze one of the more beloved characters from Final Fantasy XIII, Hope was one of the most hated. A lot of people didn't like this guy. They said he was whiny and annoying, and for the first half of the game, yeah, he kinda was. But I do think there's a big difference between an unlikable person and a bad character. And while Hope isn't exactly pleasant to be around at first, I do think he's a fantastically written character, and we do get to see him grow into a much more mature person during the series. So today I'm going to be breaking down Hope's character arc, specifically his journey in learning to process and overcome fear, which defines him in 13 especially. Let's get straight into it. Hope you enjoy!
Mommy? Mommy?
I can't.
The thing that needs to be understood about Hope is that he's had the most ordinary life of any of the cast, which, given the setting that we're in, is kind of surprising. For context, the story takes place mostly on Cocoon, an artificial paradise managed by these crystal god creatures called fal'Cie. The world below, Grand Pulse, is also run by fal'Cie, but the Pulsian fal'Cie manage an endless cycle of conflict to breed stronger inhabitants, believing in the principle of survival of the fittest. Two of our characters, Vanille and Fang, come from Grand Pulse, but the other four are from Cocoon. And despite the fact that Cocoon is basically paradise, Hope is the only character from Cocoon who isn't acquainted with loss and grief before the events of the game. Saz lost his wife to illness years ago, Lightning and Snow are both orphans, and all three of them have recently had to contend with someone they love becoming a l'Cie, which is essentially a death sentence as far as they're aware. So all of them are well acquainted with the harsher side of reality going into the game. Meanwhile, Hope's life hasn't been perfect. Notably, he has a terrible relationship with his dad, since Bartholomew Estheim is apparently rarely around for his son, but for the most part, he's gotten to live his life as a pampered mama's boy, with fal'Cie caring for his every need. Then, in a couple of days, the Pulse fal'Cie Anima is found in the city that he and his mother are visiting. They get thrown onto the purge train, his mother dies right before his eyes, and he gets branded as a Pulse l'Cie, which is not only a death sentence to him, but it also marks him as an enemy and a fugitive from his home. There's no way that we could expect him, or any kid in his situation really, to handle any of that well. I know this doesn't change the fact that yes, he is still whiny at times, it's just me explaining why that's the case. And it does beg the question for why would they include this type of character in the first place? I think part of it is to show the damage that war and death can have on a younger generation, but there's another reason too, which I'll get to in a little while. For now, just understand that for Hope's background, his responses to things are realistically written in that he doesn't know how to process what's happening to him. His emotional anchor through most of it was his mother, and now that's all gone.
Here. It's too much, isn't it?
Vanille kind of becomes another anchor for him in the beginning after his mother dies, which is good here because Hope is completely overwhelmed by fear. He blames Snow for his mother's death and wants to confront him, but he's too nervous to do it, and Vanille kinda has to drag him along as they follow Snow to the Pulse vestige. He tries to run when Lightning, Snow, and Saz confront the fal'Cie Anima, but he's prevented from escaping and gets branded as a l'Cie. He's the only character that doesn't fight at all when the party runs through Lake Brescia, and he only starts fighting again after being separated from Saz and Vanille. He's running completely scared here. That said, he is also pretty self-aware of how weak he is and of how he doesn't know how to handle what's happening to him. That's why he's drawn to lightning at first. Like, he's scared of her for sure because he's scared of everything right now, but he's drawn to her too because she also doesn't like snow and because to him she seems absolutely fearless. There's only one occasion in Final Fantasy XIII where we see lightning show fear, and that happens much later in the story when the fal'Cie Barthandelus is revealed. But she's always the first one to charge into a fight. She's tough, she's confident, she takes no crap from anybody, and Hope looks at her and he sees a pattern for what he wants to become.
You like to keep it simple, don't you?
I stick to my goal.
As long as you have a goal, you can fight?
You can stay alive.
He wants to get stronger so he can finally face up to Snow. So, when Lightning announces her intention to go off on her own and destroy the Sanctum, Hope decides to go with her in hopes of getting stronger. I talked about this during the Lightning video too, but these two have a rather rocky relationship at first. Hope's determination can only get him so far, as he's fatigued both physically and emotionally by everything that's happened to him since the Purge began. Lightning, in all her frustration, was prepared to leave him behind and fend for himself, until her inner turmoil summoned her Eidolon, Odin. The occurrence gave Hope a chance to show some fighting spirit, and for Lightning to recenter her own emotions. So from there, they slowly find their footing together.
Actually, why don't you let me take point?
Can you handle it?
It's not a question of can or can't.
Now you're learning. Keep your eyes front. I'll watch the rear.
Got it.
So here, by the time we reach the Gopher Whitewood, Lightning and Hope are proper allies. Lightning is happier to have him around, and I think proud of him for taking the initiative like this, and Hope very clearly looks up to her and wants to emulate her example of toughness. But there's a problematic side to this too.
Have you ever been here before? On duty, I mean.
No, I haven't. This area is covered by the Woodlands Observation Battalion. You scared?
Not really. I'm ready to fight if I have to.
You notice Lightning's tone when she asks this. It's very harsh because she constantly views her own fear as a weakness and tries to suppress it. It's unclear here whether Hope is genuinely trying to push fear away because he also thinks it makes him weak, or if he is afraid but he's unwilling to look weak in front of Lightning. Either way, there's a problem that arises here, with him believing that fear makes him weak and he denies it to himself. Instead, he charges headfirst into fights, and he embraces his frustrations and anger with both Snow and the Sanctum government. All of which is basically him copying Lightning's example of courage, since that's the main one he has, but it's really not a good one. And as they travel together, they do start opening up to each other, but there's a difference between how they approach it. In Lightning's case, as she starts to see more of herself and Hope, she starts questioning the path that she's leading him down and whether it's wise. Traveling with Hope forces her to dig down to the roots of her emotions and to process them properly. But for Hope, traveling with Lightning has the opposite effect. It gave him something to focus on besides his pain. So, when Lightning tries to call off her mission to destroy the Sanctum, Hope is afraid to do that because he feels lost if he doesn't have a goal to strive for. Without something to focus on, he has to face his burden and he doesn't know how to right now.
The only one who believed her was Snow.
Don't say it! Don't say his name. It brings everything back. I keep playing it in my head. What happened to her? And then I see his stupid face and he's smiling. How can he smile when she's dead? I know! There's nothing I can do about it. I hate knowing that. No matter what happens, she's not coming back. When I was fighting, there was no time to think about it. It felt good just to give in. But now You start talking about hope. I'm sorry, I messed up.
It's my fault.
So this scene was a first step for Hope in confronting his feelings, which was definitely a necessary one. Lightning ultimately tries to redirect him from vengeance and encourages him to reconcile with his father instead. She's trying to give him something to live for and, well, to hope for again. And this almost works until we meet Snow again.
It'll be tough. But everything will work out in the end. As long as we stay together and hold on to hope.
We don't have any. LSC's only hope is a quick death.
Meeting Snow again dredges up both Lightning and Hope's frustrations to an extent actually, but Hope takes it way worse. It's honestly upsetting to watch Hope giving in to despair again, and not in a this is bad writing way, but in a you poor child, you were making such good progress kind of way. Hope was moving in the right direction with Lightning, but he hadn't fully addressed or resolved the deeper issues he's been facing, so all it took was seeing Snow again to bring all his frustrations and hurt back. I've actually experienced similar things in my own life when I've been frustrated or hurt, so I can relate to this personally. Remember that Snow doesn't realize that the woman who died protecting him was Hope's mother, so he doesn't understand that Hope hates him personally. He puts up a cheery facade, trying to put Hope at ease and keep the kid out of the fighting as much as possible. He's not revealing how deeply he does indeed care about the people who've died around him. So Hope interprets this as Snow not caring, and he does choose to pursue vengeance. What actually happens, though, is this.
Nora Estheim. She was my mother. And she died because of you.
You're the one she meant. Hope! Hey.
Why'd you save me?
I was asked to keep you safe. By Lightning. And by Nora. I'm sorry. What happened, it was my fault. I put her in danger. I know that. Let me make things right.
So this scene is really important for both characters involved in it. It's really something for Hope to realize that the man he's been blaming for Nora's death ended up saving his life to honor her last request. Hard to keep trying to kill the guy after that, but more importantly, Hope admits that he was holding on to his anger to keep himself going rather than facing his grief, like the whole time through the Gopper Whitewood when he was scared to admit being afraid. Now that he's had guidance from Lightning, and that Snow has owned up to what happened and properly apologized, he's more equipped to process his emotions, and he's letting himself be vulnerable now and feel them, which is super important. Also important is that he now is taking Lightning's advice and goes back to his father, where they finally form a proper relationship. It's also worth noting here that he does defend Snow to his father. The next milestone of sorts that we get for Hope's growth is not long after, when we find that Saz and Vanille have both been captured by the Sanctum. The Sanctum is broadcasting that there will be a public execution, both to put the people's minds at ease and to bait the rest of the party into trying to rescue them. Which they recognize is a trap, but they don't really care. Snow and Fang are all in, of course, but as for the others...
I'm sure she's fine. Vanille's tougher than I could ever be.
Hope, are you scared?
Yeah, I'm terrified. But I'll be okay. Because I have you, and this guy, and Fang. We're all in this mess. We gotta stick together.
I do again want to point out Lightning's tone here, as she's being much gentler now, but I also absolutely love Hope's response. The irony is that when Hope isn't trying to act tough, he's much closer to the actual meaning of courage. He's acknowledging and processing his emotions, including his fear, but he's not letting fear control him. He has much more of a support system now both around him here and at home, and that gives him strength. And that sets him up for growth down the line when he becomes the one to take the lead, encouraging the party to cast off their old perceptions and challenge the impossible.
The world's full of lies. There's no way of knowing what's right. All we can do is believe in ourselves. It's easy to sit back and let people trick you. Like how the Sanctum had us all thinking that LSC was some sort of monster. I'm done with their lies. Fal'Cie, this whole focus thing. From here on out, I use my eyes. Think. And act.
Going back to a while ago when I asked why they included a character like Hope in this story, I think this is another important reason why. After the party learns that their focus is to destroy Cocoon by becoming Ragnarok, Hope doesn't fade into the background like some of the other characters do. He encourages the party to keep going, to chase possibilities even if they seem like a long shot, which is why they all go down to Grand Pulse in hopes of finding a way to remove their LSC brands. He approaches this new world outside of Cocoon with a sense of curiosity and wonder, and I think that was important for the rest of the party to have, and it makes more sense to come from a child than from an adult. Adults tend to be more set in their ways, so I think they needed someone like Hope to encourage them to cast off old perceptions. Unfortunately, this blatant defiance of their focus hastens their progression towards becoming Seath, and possibly because Hope was encouraging them to do it, it seems to affect him more than the others, and they find him on the ground.
Hope!
Go ahead without me.
We can't just leave you.
I'll be fine. You've all taught me so much. You showed me how to fight.
What did I tell you? Leave the fighting to me.
I'm scared.
We understand. You're not gonna go through this ordeal alone, you know. Huh?
That's what scares me. I don't want to see you get hurt because of me. It'd be better for everyone if I just stayed behind.
Mention ordeals, and look what comes along!
This is not an ordeal. This is a gift. Hope! This is the kind of power you've got inside, and it's telling you not to give up. Trust me.
Oh, I get it. It's here to show you the way. Show you that you've got what it takes to get back on your feet and do this thing.
You mean that came from me?
So this moment right here, when Hope is facing Alexander, actually gets me choked up. But I want to rewind a bit to before the Eidolon shows up. Hope is continuing his trend of emotional vulnerability, but for the first time in a while, he's becoming completely overwhelmed by fear. And honestly, I don't think this is a step backward or inconsistent writing. We have to remember that he's still just a kid who's been forced to go through so much in a short period of time, and now he's basically on the brink of becoming a monster. I think him being overwhelmed is natural, and what's really sweet about it is that he's not just afraid for himself. He cares deeply about his friends, and he's scared that them looking out for him will put them in harm's way too. He's prepared to let himself die to keep them safe, but he's still scared for himself also. His turmoil summons the Eidolon, which, as Lightning correctly states, isn't necessarily here to kill him, but to show him that he needs to keep fighting and that he has the strength to do it, both of which are true. He does keep fighting, he does stay with the group, and he keeps encouraging them to do whatever he can to make them better, and he keeps fighting his focus even though it does mean becoming a Sith. Like the others, though, he's freed from this fate by the intervention of the goddess, and they do successfully save the world.
When monsters like these are cornered, they cause a space-time vortex to appear. An electromagnetic shock usually shuts them down. It's been a while, Sarah.
Hope? Is that you?
A lot happens for Hope between Final Fantasy XIII and Final Fantasy XIII-2. We catch up to him 10 years after Final Fantasy XIII ends. The Academy has become the provisional government, and Hope now leads the Academy's top research team, trying to understand all the paradoxes that have sprung up across time and space. According to the wiki, he worked hard to study at the Academy in hopes for atoning for what happened during his time as a lessee, and became the Academy's top student when he was just 19 years old. Now, as the Academy's leader, he stands before us as a strong, smart, and confident person. The reason I love this so much, especially after making the Saz video where Saz's writing was such a letdown in the sequels, is that we see the fulfillment of Hope's entire journey from Final Fantasy XIII in how he's written in XIII-2. Hope is still not a perfect person, he still makes mistakes, notably in the timeline where he made the proto-fallacy, but he's matured to the point where he's able to recognize his mistakes, both past and present, and to grow from them. So while he is still growing, there's nothing left for the narrative to do for him in terms of giving him a character arc, and the writers definitely recognized that when they were handling his character. So they don't try to force him into center stage, his writing doesn't become stale like Saz's does, and as the leader of the Academy, he's perfectly positioned to meaningfully impact the plot in a side role by playing support for our group of time-traveling heroes. And I do love how they get to still showcase his personal motivations and how he's written too. Hope's devotion to paradox research seems at first like academic curiosity. After all, he is the Academy's leader. When we resolve the paradox in the Padru ruins, we learn why he personally wanted to research time. He hoped that if he could learn how to reach back into the past, he could use that power to save everyone he's loved that he's lost, including his mother. The reason this doesn't feel stale, even though he's still hung up on his mother dying, is that she's only a part of it. He's thinking also about Lightning, Vanille, and Fang, and we care because we saw how close he became with them during his journey as a lessee, especially with Lightning. The other thing that helps here is that after talking to Sarah and Noel and seeing the prophecies in the Oracle Drive, he starts looking ahead and turns his talents towards making a better future. And he never gave up fighting for that future even when the world was swallowed by chaos.
But it didn't work out the way any of us expected. A lot of things changed during my long sleep. When I woke, the Hope who I'd seen become a man was a boy again. He was up here in lonely command of the Ark, and this was where he told me about God's plans for the two of us and the world.
According to official records, Hope disappeared 169 years before Lightning was chosen to be the savior. According to the wiki, Brunavelza was the one who took Hope away and tortured him using versions of Lightning. Brunavelza also de-aged Hope and stripped away many of his memories and emotions, forming him into a perfect set of eyes and ears. So, the Hope that supports Lightning through her role as the savior isn't actually him. Only as the final day dawns do we get to have a moment with the real Hope, and I do want to highlight it because it perfectly sums up the end of his journey.
Do you remember when we first met all those centuries ago? Do you remember what you told me then? Keep your eyes front. I'll watch the rear.
But I didn't. I couldn't.
Oh, but you did. More times than you know. As long as you were with me, Light, I didn't have to fear anything. I'm not scared. Not even now. Because you're here.
Hope!
This is Hope come full circle. He's not afraid anymore, and this time it's not because he's denying or suppressing his emotions. This time, he's allowing himself to feel all of them, and for him, the love and trust that he has for his friends, especially Lightning, For him, it eclipses his fear. It's really sweet to see how far he's come, and how close he and Lightning have become during their journeys. That bond they share, it drives Lightning to challenge God himself in order to save Hope's soul, and in turn, leads Hope to reach out his hand and pull Lightning out of the chaos. I genuinely do not think they could have given him a better ending than this. And that concludes my analysis of Hope Estheim. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know I might be fighting an uphill battle to convince some people to like him, but I hope that I could at least give people more appreciation for how he's written, even if you still don't like him personally. Comment below what your take on him is. Just please don't start any flame wars in the comments. I've really gotten to enjoy having dialogue with other Final Fantasy XIII fans about this game and its characters through these videos, and I'm looking forward to doing more videos like it here soon. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of them as they come out, and until then, I hope you have a good one. I'll see ya.